Megyn Kelly leaves her guests speechless as she exposes the reason why ABC had to give Donald Trump a fat payout. And guys, when I say fat, I mean chunky, okay? This was a massive chunk of change that Donald Trump received thanks to these idiots, excuse the language, but it's just true, at ABC. So we're gonna get right into it, guys. It's gonna be fun. I think you're gonna like it. But first, do me a big favor here. Like our video and share it around so we can keep bringing you guys this great, hard-hitting content. For those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Darian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
Producer spoke with Trump's attorney, Alejandro Brito, and here's what he said. Our question was, why did ABC decide to settle? The long and short of it is the nature of the claims that were brought and the fact that they were verifiable from a standpoint as factually untrue from George Stephanopoulos. Trump's legal team had separate video clips of George Stephanopoulos on ABC that showed Stephanopoulos knew that Trump had not been found liable for rape. This was not a situation where there was simply a misunderstanding. George Stephanopoulos interviewed E. Jean Carroll after the trial on his show, and we had video of his questions to Carroll. And when he asked her how she felt after Stephanopoulos said Trump was not liable for rape, juxtapose that with his questioning of Mace. That's very interesting. It's a good point. We actually we should go back and pull that.
How about yesterday in the courtroom? The first announcement was made, and it was that he was not found liable for rape. What were we thinking at that moment?
Was there something, this is us, in discovery that scared ABC into settling? Answer, the possibility of something coming out in discovery may have had led to the settlement. Trump legal team had scheduled to take the deposition of ABC, an ABC rep, and George Stephanopoulos. The lawyer suspects ABC did not want it to happen. Quote, it wasn't something ABC learned that caused them to settle, but rather something Trump's team may learn, he said, end quote. Our question, had they already exchanged documents, to my point of normally you exchange texts and papers before you sit for the deposition. He said that there had been minimal document exchange in discovery. Trump team was waiting on ABC and Stephanopoulos to respond to discovery demands. He said at the time of the settlement, ABC had only, quote, produced one piece of paper, end quote, very interesting, and not provided any other documentation. He believes fear of what Trump could learn about ABC and Stephanopoulos in document exchange may have played a role in the settlement. That's very interesting.
So ABC is paying a reported $15 million because they don't want to get exposed for how they lied. Well, you know, they're already exposed, but you know what I mean. Get even more exposure about how they lied about Donald Trump being found liable for rape. And that's great, of course, but I have to ask, where's their liability, whether it's George Stephanopoulos or the terrible ABC, fake news ABC network at large? Where's their payout or disgrace for the Russia hoax? All this talk about Russian collusion, blah, blah, blah. George Stephanopoulos, by the way, played a huge role in it himself. I double checked just to make sure, even though, you know, it's kind of obvious because all these Democrats do that. But Stephanopoulos was even telling Trump after the Mueller report came out, right? The Mueller report in which Robert Mueller, the former FBI director, pretty much exonerated Donald Trump and said, yeah, there's no evidence of this, even after looking into it thoroughly. Stephanopoulos said, no, it doesn't actually exonerate you. And he's not actually saying that you didn't collude with Russia. You know, he is saying it might be possible. He was saying all this crap to Donald Trump, totally lying. Is there going to be any legal liability for that? You know, of course not. It's only in these extreme of the extreme examples where they get found guilty. And that's good. Don't get me wrong. It's great. ABC should pay and suffer the consequences for what they're doing here. The only point is, what about all the other stuff? You know, it's a good step, but we have a long way to go. Now let's see a little bit more of what Megyn Kelly has to say about this.
Are you enjoying the ABC meltdown and collapse as much as the surrender in this case as much as I am? I'll start with you, Emily.
Well, I'm also enjoying really ABC's peers in media freaking out because of the ABC settlement. I mean, that's been, I think, equally as delicious as watching so many people now criticize ABC for quote unquote caving. And, you know, what was a pretty serious case? I mean, that it's just in the last 24 hours that so many different people in media are now accusing ABC basically of enabling Trump when they were staring down the barrel of a very, very problematic deposition, being in litigation with an incoming president, and all of that would entail for the incoming administration, their coverage of the incoming administration. I mean, like you said, I'm not cheering on like lowering the threshold for defamation for journalists. And I don't necessarily think this lowers the threshold. I think it really was a very, very serious case. So all kinds of schadenfreude to be enjoyed this morning.
Amen.
You know, the thing that got them in trouble, Eliana, was he went out there, repeatedly said that a jury had found him liable for rape, which is not what happened. A jury found Trump liable for sexual abuse. And they said no on the rape charge. Then the judge wrote up his interpretation of what happened. Obviously, this judge was not a Trump fan. And the judge, Lewis Kaplan, wrote as follows after the fact when Trump was seeking a new trial. The judge wrote, "The finding that Ms. Carroll failed to prove that she was raped within the meaning of New York penal law does not mean that she failed to prove that Mr. Trump raped her, as many people commonly understand the word rape." Okay, nobody even understands what that means other than this judge wanted someone to see the word rape and Trump's name in a headline. But the fact remains, the jury's verdict is the jury's verdict, and no judge can change it with words after the fact or their post-verdict interpretation. The judge can throw it out. The judge can lower the charge, potentially by throwing a charge out, but he can't increase the charge from sexual abuse to rape. It's not a possibility, neither this judge nor any other. And the bottom line is Trump was not found liable for rape by this jury.
If you have any faith in this idea of an impartiality in the American judicial system, justice system, whatever you want to call it, after hearing that, my friends, I have a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. And it is obviously true what Megyn Kelly is saying, that a judge can't change this verdict, but I don't know. Maybe that won't be the case forever. I'm just saying it is very common for the left to use lawfare to go after their political opponents. They tried to do it with Donald Trump. It failed. But believe me, they will try to do it again. So be vigilant, guys. That's all I'm saying.
And despite that fact, George Stephanopoulos went out on the air in that interview and sounded like this. Sought to.
And you've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for rape. Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury. I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape. Someone who's been found liable for rape. You have to answer the question. Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable for rape? They are afraid to come forward, as you said, because they are defamed by those who commit the rape. You don't find it offensive that Donald Trump has been found liable for rape? Well, actually, what you're doing is defending a man who's been found liable for rape. I don't understand how you can do that. The judge affirmed that it was, in fact, rape. Donald Trump was found to have committed rape. That's just a fact.
Liar George. Liar George.
And that's why he's now having to pay $15 million, or his news organization is, Eliana. So what do you make of it?
That wraps up our clip for today, everybody. We really appreciate you tuning in. What'd you think about that? You know, I think it's great news. Of course, ABC is going to pay some money. They deserve it. But I also believe that there is so much more to be done, and there's so much more they should be found liable for. So I think it's a step in the right direction, but nonetheless a step, and there's more to come, I hope. With all that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. As always, please be sure to comment below, guys. Let us know what you liked about the video, what you want to hear next, and hit that subscribe button if you are new. We really appreciate it. God bless.